we are.
Did we do it?
I did.
Hello.
Welcome to Brain Candy Podcast, episode 678.
Woo! I was looking forward to this one.
I mean, we have been trying to start this show for an hour.
For an hour. That's actually real.
And everything has gone wrong.
You'd think that Mercury was in retrograde or something.
Not this.
I have no idea
Not
if
that.
it is or not.
I don't know. We were optimistic. That's what it was.
That is what's always our problem.
We never learn.
Classic Susie and Sarah. When are we going to learn? Never.
Maybe tomorrow. Well, at any rate, it is 678. How are you?
Yes. I'm doing real well.
Oh, good.
I can't complain.
Really?
I mean,
I
you
can,
know,
always.
You know, there's probably something. I just haven't thought of it. But no, I'm feeling pretty like.
What ended up happening over there with that big storm over the holidays? Did that
Oh my
happen?
God. Yeah, it was -10. It was, you know what? My brother's a firefighter, and he said, I asked him, you know, because we had Christmas together, and it was right after the big freeze. What do they call it? An like Arctic bomb or something crazy like that. Arctic cyclone, bomb massacre, whatever. Yeah, bomb cyclone. That's it. I'm like, I don't know. But I was like, Lucas, like, what are we talking? Like a lot of human popsicles or what?
Yeah.
Because they said there were a lot of alerts that said if you are outside and you have exposed skin for more than 5 minutes, you will get like hypothermia or frostbite.
Yeah, you're doomed.
Like, so I was definitely thinking there were going to be a whole bunch of casualties, but he said there were only 2 people who died in all of the Denver metro area. I mean, 2 people is still very sad, and I'm so sorry those people passed away.
Yeah, but it could have been a lot
that
worse.
is way less than I thought for, you know.
We had those incredibly cold temperatures as well. We didn't have like snow like Buffalo, but we had the just freezing negative temperatures. And a nurse that I know said that, because I was like, what's going on in the ER? Is it just like wall to wall, like homeless people or what? And he said, yeah, there's some of that. But there was also a person that came in who had been preparing the football field for the game and then is going to have some digits removed because of...
No!
Yeah, and I was horrified.
No!
Football is stupid.
Susie, I have a million reasons for why that is, especially with the most... Like, wasn't that in Buffalo as well? Where the football player... And I was annoyed because who the hell is my boyfriend? Eli. I was like, who do I date? Eli was, I got so worked up. Eli was saying, you know, he heard that the game was canceled. And at first we thought it was because of the weather. Yeah. And then he followed up and he's like, no, you know, actually it was because somebody just collapsed. Yeah. And I said, oh, did he get hit? And Eli goes, no, he had just tackled somebody. Okay, potato.
Well, yeah. Right.
I was like, you don't... I'm sorry. That's the same thing. If you say to me, no, he just tackled somebody, that's like saying, was he in a car accident? No, he just hit somebody with his car. Then he was in a car accident.
I get it, though, because I think a lot of people would assume the injured party would be on the receiving end.
The hit person.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
same diff.
Same diff.
Yeah.
If I take my car and I ram it into a wall... You don't go, how's the wall?
Yeah.
You also, like...
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm saying here. I'm like, it doesn't matter. We shouldn't be doing, like, ramming heads into each other,
so
whether you're on the giving or receiving end. It's so stupid. Thank you.
I don't know what people... How they're justifying it at this point. I don't know. I mean... I don't even know who I mean. Maybe the owners, mostly... But also, like, the I'm sorry. I know you guys probably all indulge, but why are we watching it? I mean, I'm not. I just said we to be nice about it. I don't watch it, but I mean, it's so disturbing.
It really is scary.
Yeah. And I mean, I know a lot of parents who let their kids play, and I just can't relate to that.
I think we should just go like with the Australians, like take off the helmets, take off the...
Yeah, those guys are hunks. Take it off, baby. For real. They're onto something down under. Make that happen.
That's so funny. We want to see your down under.
Well, because remember, I was, on Road Rules Down Under, and we did a mission with the Aussie Rules football players, and it was incredible. Shane Crawford, I love you. I did at the time. I obsessed about him for like a year after, and would try to reach him, and he wouldn't take my calls.
Oh my God. He wouldn't take your calls.
For real, I would leave messages, and it was so sad.
Susie is nothing if not persistent.
Yeah, but love makes fools of us all, doesn't it? But anyway, football's stupid is the point.
Yeah, people are losing fingers.
For real.
They're just falling down for no reason.
That kid was 24, I shouldn't say
he had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
24 years old. My gosh.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's really, it's scary.
Because there's no way to make it safer, really, right? Without changing the whole
they keep on saying
game.
like, oh, we have new helmets, but then people, it's like, you take beatings like that over and over, and it's not the ones that people think.
Well, because
like you'd think the big hard hits.
Well, right, because if you saw the video,
that it's the ones that are like this quick impact, like linemen, and it's really terrible.
Well, in that case, it wasn't his head anyway. It was
it was his heart.
I hope he's okay but I mean,
oh God. There have been a lot of stories recently where I'm just like, nobody is like Jeremy Ritter, that story about him with the snowplow. Renner. Renner. Jeremy Renner. Yeah, that is terrifying.
I know. And that was, did you see his snowplow?
It's over by a snowplow.
Humongo.
Yeah. Just like when doctors have to use words like he's critical but stable, neither of those two are words that mean anything like he's going to be okay anytime soon.
I mean, right.
Oh God, it just was like people we're so fragile but also so resilient, and
I know it's mind-blowing.
It really is crazy.
Yeah. Well,
and nobody's immune.
And frankly, this episode isn't going to get any really lighter, because I noticed like this was so many of the themes or so much of the theme of many of the things I wanted to talk about. Because as you know, my mom fell ill over the holidays and she was in the hospital, and because she was, so invested in this idea that she was so healthy, we all really just believed that. And I think we all kind of convinced ourselves that she was immortal or something. And so perhaps it's on my mind, just the fragility of life. And then
absolutely,
and how there's all these things we just talked about last week about how there's things we can control and there's things we cannot control. Right, and so you kind of want to tip the scales in the favor of the things you can control. Yeah. So that's what I keep coming across, and I probably am zoomed into it now because of that.
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
Well,
that's what happens with anybody anytime.
Go ahead. Sorry.
It just makes you think about life and death.
Yeah. And there is a balance. It's good to be aware and not put your head in the sand about our mortality, but it's also like we gotta eat dinner, Right. But one thing you can control is the use of Noom, which will help you create good habits, which I am all in favor of. Well, and again, because of all this stuff with Peg, I think there is a part of her that felt like, I did everything right. I'm so disciplined, and she eats so well, and she exercises, and so then when something goes wrong that was just genetics or whatever, you think, why did I bother? But I'm trying to tell her, like, that's going to help you recover better and faster and all that. So Noom is a great way that you can stay on track with eating the foods you want to eat, keeping active, doing the things that will improve or maintain your health. It's an app that will send like cognitive behavioral concepts to help you stay on track. And so it's science-based, and it's not just, you got it, girl, or whatever those
Right.
Inspirational
real
memes
things to help like train your brain.
Yeah, train your brain. And I love that. And losing weight or getting stronger or whatever your goals are, that all starts up in the old noggin. So stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's weight psychology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at noom.com/braincandy. That's NOOM.com/braincandy to sign up for your trial today, and check out Noom's first ever book, The Noom Mindset, a deep dive into the psychology of behavior change, available to buy now wherever books are sold. That stuff really helps me. I mean, everybody has to do what works for them, but like just learning more information is good.
I was just talking to Eli about it the other day, and we both used it to help us remember to drink more water.
Yeah. And I think it's funny.
I read a study that said like, it's like something that seems obvious, but I just forget. And I read something recently that said drinking enough water can help prolong your life by 20 years. And then I was thinking about my grandma who lived to be like damn near 100. And I didn't see her drink an ounce of water. So I'm like, I don't know. Do I want to live to be 120? Well, here we go.
I know, right? That is something to consider. I'm going to pull this up. This is funny to me. Talking about my mom. She, when she went into the hospital, of course, then sent like a list of things she needed me to bring to her, from her house. And like, I hope I can find it. It's practically illegible. And it's like, makes no sense. This is actual directions. Big Kenneth Copeland Bible on chair in Jesus room. What? I don't.
Do you know which room is the Jesus room?
Yeah, that's what's sad. All of her directions.
That's the funny part. You're like, oh yeah, I know where that is.
One of them was like soft toe socks in cupboard, which is a closet, but she calls it a cupboard. It's not a cupboard. In closet in Jesus room in basket drawer. And I found the damn things. And I was just like, it is funny how families have their own language.
Yep. And you know exactly what she's talking about.
Well, Anne, don't you think it's true that like when you live alone, as Peg does, and you've sort of like done your own thing for decades, you're kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like you do weird stuff and you don't really know it's weird because you're just so used to it.
100%. And I said like when there's nobody else to put you in check, like nobody else to be like, that's crazy.
Yeah, stop doing that.
Then, nobody says stop doing that, so you just keep doing that.
Yeah, but I think accountability is probably a good thing. If you are lucky enough to have somebody who can do that.
Can you, if I end up like alone for forever, like let's hope not.
This is so interesting. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you are so weird how you kind of think that's going to happen. Even though you're partnered right now.
Right. Well, because so far, evidence shows that they just leave. I'm kidding. Oh.
Right.
But no, I just, like just in case, like you got to keep me in check. If I do weird things, can you just tell me that they're weird? Be like, sorry, that's weird. Don't do that.
Okay. And you can tell me too. But
yeah, you won't.
I feel like we're pretty self-aware though.
Yeah. I mean, I don't do anything now that's really weird.
No, you don't. Annoying,
and the weird things that I did all the time, that I can't. I did do one thing that I used to like peel my nail polish off and then like make a little pile of it on the couch next to me or like on the floor. So I would just pick it off and like throw it on the floor and then I'd just like sweep it up later. Now I don't do that because I was like, that's weird. Right?
I mean, I didn't think it was weird until you said you would like put it on the floor.
But I would like sit on the couch, like pick it off and then like just like, I think
that's minimally weird to be honest with you.
Sweep it up. Yeah, minimally weird. It's
because I think a lot of people bite their nails and do that. Like just kind of toss it around. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right. Just toss it.
Yeah, I'm on to you people.
Yeah.
And Sarah, because of someone she used to be with, truly believes there are boogers everywhere because this person put boogers everywhere.
Everywhere. They're on I still believe that. They're all over everything.
So you don't think it's specific to him? That made you think it was everybody?
No, it's everybody.
Maybe it is.
I think more people are picking and flicking than even know that they're doing. I think people subconsciously touch their nose more than they think they do. We learned this in COVID. And yeah, I think a lot of people are just unaware
deep
of
in
how they're just putting boogers on everything.
That's so gross. Lincoln told me that he has trouble not picking all day at school and that it drives him nuts. And I'm like,
it's
what?
a human thing.
Is it though? I mean, all day long wanting to pick your nose?
It's fun.
You're into it.
So here's I told Link this. I told him this one time when we were hanging out.
Yeah.
We were talking about picking your nose like you do. And I said, here's the thing, Link. The more you pick your nose, the more boogers you'll have.
Oh.
And you pick your nose because they're boogers, because like those, you got like dirty germs on your fingers, and then you get that in your nose, and then your nose produces the bugs to like, so it's a cycle. You got to just like, no picking, no bugs.
Well, so is your advice to blow instead, or not even that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, blow.
Yeah, don't put, and ever since I learned about that bacteria.
I know, I think about that a lot since you told me.
Because, like, it's somewhere. Right now, that Alzheimer's causing bacteria is just hanging out. And I don't know where it is.
Are you telling me for real, though, that, like, Alzheimer's is a bacterial infection?
That sometimes that there is a link between that. That if you have, in the same way, do you remember we talked about ulcers a long time ago? And how ulcers are like they're not caused by stress, but stress exacerbates
stress
it.
Produces
it's like
the acid or something.
Yeah, there's something about where it's like linked, but not. It's like that.
Yeah,
where it makes you more susceptible to that
the disease. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, don't worry, I won't be picking. So
yeah, this is just good practices.
Well, we're going to talk about what are the keys to happiness as we age.
Oh,
this was a great article.
What if the answer were picking your nose?
Right, you pick your choice. You got to choose. You want Alzheimer's? You want to be happy, or both?
Yeah, right. It's like when they say not drinking is the best thing for your health. I'm like, my mental health? I disagree.
Yeah, that's a real pickle. For real. Because this article, this was in The Atlantic, but I think it was by Arthur Brooks, and he has a whole thing. I think that maybe it's usually in The Atlantic. Okay, whatever. He has a whole series about happiness, which I usually get annoyed about because I think people focus a little too much on happiness.
Right.
Because it's unrealistic. Like, life is up and down. And
life is a 5 average.
Out of 10 or 100?
This out of 10. Well, that's a good question. Yeah. It's like that, like brushing your teeth, 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Having a nice meal with a friend, 7.
Right. But brushing your teeth is a 3, but having great teeth when you're old, that's a 10.
10.
So it's like.
Exactly. Ooh. Yeah. Good point.
And most of the things that advice is like that. It's sort of like the drinking thing. Like, it's a 10 at the time.
but it'll lead to a 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Health-wise.
So.
Yeah. Okay. We're on to something.
Right.
That book is.
Okay. So I thought this article was helpful, though, because it was talking about that the longitudinal study that's very, very famous from, I think it was from the 1950s, maybe even the 40s. And it's followed these guys throughout their entire life. And I think it's called the Happiness Study from Harvard. And it was incredibly insightful. And of course, a lot of the guys that ended up, healthy and happy had a head start because they come from money, which provides all sorts of resources and de-stress.
All sorts of happiness.
Yeah, for real. Because if you're not worried about being homeless or being completely broke, then that decreases your stress, and stress causes illness.
Totally.
And all that. So that is the caveat that, if you're born with a rich and supportive family, then you have a lot of advantages. Regardless, there are certain things that they said when you are elderly, you tend to go into one of two groups. Like for most of our lives, we're pretty much the same. Life is stressful from like 30 to 50, and then you're happy. But then once you're old, one of two groups. And there are 7 things that sort of predict which group you're going to be in.
Ooh. This is basically your grumpy people or happy old people,
yes.
Correct?
And you always talk about that.
We talked about this in grad school. Yeah, it's a real thing. I did not know about these 7 qualities, though. Lay it on me.
When they talk about it in grad school, are they just saying, like, be prepared for these 2 different types or what? What's the...
Yeah, and maybe sometimes some of the issues that you'd see with the grumpy type, like there's a lot of depression.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then understanding kind of why. The thing that everything kind of boiled down to, I felt like, was the thing that separated the 2 groups are people who had meaning and people who didn't have meaning.
Yeah, that's a big one for sure. Well,
yeah.
And
But what are these?
I'll give you the 7 and all the details after I talk about Fabric, which is a life insurance. It's Fabric by Gerber Life. And this is another thing I keep thinking about because if you can believe it, I did not have my affairs in order in entirety. Some things I had sorted out and some things I did not. So as I'm thinking about my mortality and the future and what that all means, it is a good time to get prepared. And so Fabric, it was designed by parents for parents to help you get high quality, surprisingly affordable term life insurance in less than 10 minutes.
Easy. I got 10 minutes.
I got 10 minutes, and it takes less than 10 minutes to apply, to see your quote, and then personalize your quote to fit your family's needs. And you could be offered coverage instantly with no health exam required. So you really don't have any excuse not to check it out because a lot of people do not have things sorted. So protect your family today with Fabric by Gerber Life. Apply today in just 10 minutes at meetfabric.com/braincandy. That's meetfabric.com/braincandy, MEET, fabric.com/braincandy. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company, not available in certain states. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions. I love getting my life in order, so hopefully you will too. Yes. Okay, so these are the 7 categories of things that matter with happiness as we age. Smoking. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Drinking. Oopsie. Body
that's
weight.
The worst one. Yeah.
Exercise. Emotional resilience. Education. And relationships.
Oh my gosh. And what was the last one?
Relationships.
Okay. Oh.
Do any of those surprise you just like off the top of your head? I mean, it makes sense.
Not. It's like those are always what everything comes down to. You know?
Yeah.
Those are the greatest hits.
Those are the greatest hits. We've been doing this for 678 episodes, and I cannot tell you how many things have said those
all come
things.
Down to that. Yeah.
So obviously, don't smoke. I wish smoking was illegal. I really do.
Yeah, it is funny how, like, when I smell it now, ever since I was pregnant, when I smell it now, it makes me want to vomit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then oddly, right before I get my period, I crave a cigarette.
Huh.
What is that
What
about?
is that about?
I have no clue. It's like, woo, we ain't pregnant, line them up.
Oh, yeah, maybe. That's
I
so
have
funny.
no idea, but that is what my body does. I never have one, but yeah.
Yeah, so, because it's just so harmful. I mean, I'm all for freedom and everything, but it's just and it's so addictive, whatever. Then, of course, drinking. It said this is especially a problem if, you have family members who struggle with addiction or, maybe you're genetically predisposed for that sort of thing, that you should really think about not drinking. Then body weight exercise, like movement. And it said the best way to incorporate that is walking.
Yes. Well, I'm telling you, people think that they have to, be some sort of like
CrossFit
fitness. I got to.
maniac.
No, you don't. Just walk. There is something so powerful about walking. I think Eli and I were watching this movie. We were watching one of the Star Wars. I think it's called like Anon or something like that. It's like some new Star Wars spinoff kind of thing. And he was like, I'm surprised that people in the future are walking so much. And I said, really? I think that'll be one thing that we hold on to for forever because it feels so like intrinsically human. Like we can, and it feels like biologically like rooted in I don't know, like our
You're so right, because that's what they say, like our the way that humans walk is distinct.
Yeah. And I don't think that's and there's something very powerful about the pace, that beat. So when, if anybody's familiar with EMDR therapy, which is eye movement rapid desensitization therapy, it's I think the best, most powerful therapeutic technique for reprogramming your brain, for healing trauma. You can like actually change memories and see things differently, and it is stimulated, or it is performed by stimulating each hemisphere of the brain with a tapping like motion or tapping kind of like sensation that mimics walking. That is that same kind of like boom, 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 boom. And there's something about walking. Like if you go and you have a problem and you need like to just think about something, you need to process some feeling, some emotion, whatevs, and you go for a walk and you think about it, can't necessarily say you'll solve the problem, but you'll have better awareness about
and perspective.
You'll totally better perspective. It is so powerful.
Yeah, because when people talk about that
end of lecture
EMDR
yes
thing, sometimes it can sound woo-woo.
It does sound like that. But I'm telling you, it is the most science-based of all of them.
And
it's very...
Would you say that it can be done via Zoom or...
Absolutely.
Huh.
If the person is doing it is good.
Right.
Yeah. And I love it because it only takes like 6 to 8 sessions. And it's like, boom, you're done. I had more success in 6 to 8 sessions of EMDR than I had in 16 years of going to therapy.
That is shocking. How would you describe EMDR?
Actually changed my memories. How would I describe it?
To people who don't know what it is.
So when we experience an event, the memory gets stored in our brain from the perspective and with the awareness that we had at the age in which that memory took place. So say you were 7 years old and you were in a car accident, and now you are really like you have this fear about safety in cars, whatever it may be. And you have the memory of it, and you have the experience with like I said, the knowledge and awareness of like that 7-year-old, which can be very unreliable, can be not all the information, can give you things like maybe you feel at fault, or like you could have done something differently, or it was your fault in some way. And so what EMDR does is and I don't really know the science behind what it's doing inside the brain, but it's like stimulating each hemisphere at a different time, so that when the messages are like, when the brain is communicating, it almost allows you to re-access those memories with the awareness of the person that you are today. So it's like playing a movie in your head, but instead of watching the movie when you were 7 years old, you're watching it now at 37. And you're like, have you ever seen a movie like that you haven't seen in a long time, and then you watch it as an adult and you're like, oh, that didn't mean that. That means this.
Yeah.
And you remember the movie different from there on out.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to go back and remember it like you did when you were 7.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to remember it in a different way, fundamentally, from there on out.
Yeah.
And that's exactly, you're getting more it's exactly what you're doing. You are remembering that situation with clarity and understanding. Like, I like freed myself of all this guilt, all this shame when I was like, you're a kid. You couldn't do anything. You're doing the best you can. And here's why you reacted in this way. And you have like this sense of compassion and nurture and understanding. And then when you go and think about those memories, they're not scary anymore. They feel like something that happened to you, not something that's still happening to you.
Yeah, you're transforming your interpretation of your trauma.
Totally. And it actually, I was just talking to a friend of mine who I referred to EMDR, and he was like, Sarah, I had no idea. He said the same thing you said. He's like, at first I thought it was a little woo-woo.
Yeah.
He's like, I am a man of science. I am the most logical person you know. I can't believe how much this worked, how well this worked, and how it actually changed the memories that I have. Mm-hmm. Which is so powerful for people.
That is.
So, yeah.
And if it can expedite the process instead of like taking years.
Right. It's like, whoa. It feels like, like re-experiencing it versus like getting a bird's eye view and like having a different perspective and being like, oh, yeah, this was a thing that happens, but look, you're okay. Move on.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure that would contribute to that one of the other items in the list, this emotional resilience, because if you do have perspective, you are going to be more resilient.
Yes, and you understand, like, I survived that. Everything is okay. I'm not still going through that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the education one, it was like, you don't have to go to, Yale or something. You can just continue to learn and have a curiosity about the world and continue to expand your mind, and that is beneficial. But they said by far the most important predictor was relationships.
100%.
Connection.
Friendships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
having a community.
That doesn't bode well for the world because we are having fewer and fewer meaningful relationships.
Yep. It's true. When you look about or think about those blue zones, the areas in the world where people live to be more, like most people live to be over 100, one of the things that sets them apart are these great connections. And in fact, one of the areas is in Japan. And in Japan, people at birth are almost assigned 5 best friends. I think it's called Maui, something like that. Mm-hmm. I think I'm saying the word wrong, I'm sure. But it's like where you're assigned these 5 people who are going to be your... And I think it's so interesting because we've talked before about those numbers of what... how many people, how many like close relationships we can handle and maintain.
Yeah. And
the number they come down with is 5 really close people, 10 or 15 acquaintances.
Yeah.
Like 15.
Yeah.
50
so they're
people
just
that,
ensuring
that
that happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that one person isn't going to be able to provide everything for you, whether it's a partner or a friend or anything, that you need kind of like different people for different things.
Mm-hmm. Now you know. So if you want to be happy and well as you age, think about those things. But we don't. We won't. Nobody does. This is the thing. This is what makes me crazy.
You know what I think solves? You know what I think checks all these boxes? All of them is a wonderful retirement community in Florida.
Although that might increase the booze. Sometimes it does. Well, because friendships, socializing does tend to include that. So maybe.
There's got to be, like, with anything, like, this point of, like, diminishing returns. Like, I think with anything, like, anything in moderation, if you're not, I don't know. It just feels like, remember when we talked about the like hospice care in France where they were giving them a little sips of wine and it was doing so much to their like
dignity and
feelings,
sense of humanness. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And so, like, drinking a bottle of wine every night and passing out of the couch, probably not a good idea. Definitely not a good idea. But a glass of wine with your 5 friends as you, like, chat about
because come on.
Past.
A monastic, like a monastic ascetic lifestyle is not something most people crave or desire. And so then you're just going to be around living longer, bored out of your mind.
Ugh, I don't want that. And then you're going to end up dying from a heart attack from something else. Like,
so, moderation and discernment are critical. Mm-hmm. There you go. That's the tip.
I think my grandma lived as long as she did because of her friend connections.
That's nice.
She was such a good friend. She was the best friend to everybody. And I remember in her, like, last 5 years, she was almost totally blind, but would remember everybody's voices. And she would come up and, like, grab somebody's arm and, like, pull them over and be like, Sarah, this is so-and-so. And she knew everybody's name of anyone who was in any position at the old people's home, whether it was the janitor staff or like the people who were serving her food. She knew about them and their families and really cared.
That's really nice. I can't believe she died, to be honest.
I can't either. She was the best in the whole world.
Yeah, it's like Betty White, where you're just like,
yes,
how are you dead?
Right. That's how I feel all the time about Grandma. Like, if only you drank water, you'd still be here right now.
Oh my God, if that was it, that is so
Life
sad.
is bad, but
wow. Well, something that I know I needed, and I'm sure a lot of you do as well, is Nutrafol due to the great hair crisis of 2022.
Yes.
But I know a lot of women are impacted by weakened and thinning hair, and it stinks. And
it really does.
That's the bottom line. And so Nutrafol has created a hair growth supplement clinically shown to improve your hair growth, thickness, and visible scalp coverage. I have had great success with it, and I know how frustrating it is when you feel like, oh, great, I'm going to look like garbage for 4 years. And so it does feel nice to have somebody, it's like an assistant coming in and being like, I got you. You can grow thicker, healthier hair and support our show by going to Nutrafol.com and entering promo code BRAINCANDY to save $15 off your first month subscription. This is their best offer anywhere, and it's only available to U.S. customers for a limited time, plus free shipping on every order. Get $15 off at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code BRAINCANDY. All right, moving on. Let's see what else morbid I have on the old. Well, I did read this friggin' weird New York Times article about this lady. Her name, I think, was Shotzi Weisenberger. And she had been like one of these proponents of positive death, philosophies of like...
Okay. Positive death narrative. Yeah. Like
facing death with, what'd she call it? Joy and wonder. That was her advice, okay? And she got some certificate in the art of dying. And this is her whole life's work. And then she got old. And at 92, well, I think before 92, she had her own funeral.
Okay.
She put the fun in funeral. And these people that are like, I want to have my funeral while I'm still alive, which is, really.
That's called a birthday party.
But they want more than that, Sarah. They want people to tell them like,
no, I'm not into this.
I am
you
not
don't
either.
Get to do that. Because funerals aren't for the dead, they're for the living.
That is such a good point. This is just narcissism.
Yes! Come on!
Right, okay.
This is ridiculous.
I'm so glad you say that because I'm reading it and I'm like, oh no, one of these people. And
no.
they really just want you to like, massage their ego and say nice things.
Talk about them.
Yeah.
Didn't you see that Larry episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where there was a funeral? They were like, what are we doing?
Yes. That was Albert Brooks, had his own funeral while he was still alive. And watched it like via satellite from, that's even weirder if you're not even in the room.
I was like mad when people weren't saying the right things.
Right. It's gross in my opinion. And so that was my first.
I love that you have to say like, in my opinion, just in case we offend the funeral throwers.
Well, because I guarantee you it's sort of like the gender reveal things. Like, to me, it's so obviously gross, but to some people, they're just so darn happy that they're having a baby. Right. They just want to So, like, it's not that I don't understand the impulse. It's that when you actually do it, I'm like, please don't. Stop doing that. No. Okay. So that was my first red flag.
Like waste.
So then at 92, she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and it was obviously uncurable, and I don't even think it was treatable. It was like, this is the end. And so what does she do? She calls the New York Times and was like, hey, want to follow me while I die? And
she's a narcissist.
Totally. Want to know how we can know for sure?
She's not obsessed with death. She's obsessed with people worshiping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shotzi.
Yeah, we're on to you.
That was where everything went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
How do you name a child Shotzi and not expect exactly what... Shotzi should only be the name for those little white dogs that rich people have.
I don't know this, but I'm assuming because of the way it's spelled, it seemed like some sort of...
Because this is a nickname.
Weisberger's Jewish. Maybe it's Jewish. Ask Eli.
Yeah.
You ever hear the name Shotzi? Okay.
Shotzi.
If it's not an ethnic name, then it's like those white people that name their kids, annoying names. Okay. The way we can know for sure... I feel
like this could be a nickname. Yeah.
Maybe. All right.
Should we go to her funeral?
She's dead. I mean, it already happened. R.I.P. Shotzi.
R.I.P. R.I.P.
So she... In addition to calling like every news organization and having 2 documentary crews covering this and Vogue magazine. I mean, this is...
Who does she know?
Right? What's a gal going to do to get that kind of press?
Right.
Good point. Okay. She decided that was the time she wanted to reconcile with her children, who she hadn't spoken to in like 50 years.
Which... again, tells me everything I need to know. Those were children who needed to have some healthy boundaries because she probably prioritized herself and her own life. And they were like, I just want a mom. Okay, I know exactly what this is.
Yep. And she said she didn't apologize to them, but, she wanted to reconnect. And they said, no, thank you.
Right.
So I think we know what kind of gal this is.
This is personality disorder.
Absolutely. But why is the New York Times sort of like, they included the part about her kids, but like didn't say it was a red flag like we're saying.
I feel like we're supposed to read between the lines on this.
Okay. I didn't pick up on that.
This is a
cautionary tale.
Call them? Yes! This is a cautionary tale.
Totally. Right.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, she did say she was going to forego, like, the palliative care. Is that the right word? Palliative? Where, to not be in pain at the end because she wanted to feel the experience and everything. But that didn't last. I mean, because it's excruciating. So eventually she did. But
yeah,
she said she wanted to, like, truly feel what it's like to take that journey or whatever. I mean, she's just so unlikable. I couldn't focus.
Yeah, I think that you're supposed to get that from the article.
Okay.
There's no way that people are reading that going, oh, this is a how-to guide.
Right, because basically she wanted to be celebrated. She clearly didn't want accountability, or she would have not cut her children off however many decades ago.
Right.
And she loves it. Even said, maybe they were trying to say this because somebody was quoted as saying, like, she had the ending that she wanted. She was surrounded by like people and things that she wanted, and the media. Like, it specifically said that was something she really wanted.
Yeah.
So I think Shotzi, is like a PR genius.
Yes, I think so too. She was an influencer before they were influencers. So hats off, Shotzi.
I mean, I agree with the concept that having a positive outlook about the fact that we're all going to die and like this is a temporary plane that we're on.
Yes.
Is good, but she probably isn't the right ambassador for that message. Maybe the Dalai Lama or somebody is better.
Yeah, because it's still a little ego-driven.
Big time. Because, I mean, I feel like part of what the positive death movement is about humility and knowing that we are all in the same boat.
All experiencing the same thing. And she's like, mine is going to be great. Yeah. Bring cameras.
Come on. Come one, come all. I got 2 weeks, everybody. Let's do this. Go time.
Well, I mean, it's really creative and ingenious, You can, like, focus on what you're doing in life and get attention for that. Or you can skip all that and just
focus on the grand
last
finale.
chapter really long.
Right.
It's interesting.
Okay. So that's in the New York Times. Maybe, Dal, you could put that in the newsletter in case you want to, like, read about it yourself.
Yeah.
All right. Have you ever hallucinated in your whole life?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I used to get, like, fever dreams when I was a little kid, and when I got a really high fever, I would start to hallucinate, and I had 2 recurring ones. One that I would look down at my arms, and my skin would melt off, and there would just be sticks left. And then another one that when I was watch TV, everything would go in fast forward.
I should have known.
Freaked me out.
I don't know how I never remember that you are the craziest person that I know.
Yeah, the craziest. I don't know.
How old were you when you would look at your arms and see that?
I was probably about 8 years old because I remember being really scared one night and Jordan being really helpful. So Jordan was old enough to talk. So he must have been like 5 or 6 because he was telling me, don't think about that. Just think about Candyland. Pretend like you're in the game Candyland. And that really helped me.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was really sweet. So instead I would just like think about me being on like marshmallow clouds. But I was probably like 8 or 9.
And you would look down at your arms and you thought your flesh was melting off.
Yeah, I would look down and I would have like sticks.
When you say sticks, do you mean the bone or do you mean like a tree?
No, I mean an actual tree.
Like branches.
Branches.
Why do you think that what do you mean fever dream anyway? What does that mean?
That when, and I still will get, like, if I can't regulate my temperature at night, like if I go to bed wearing a sweatshirt and sweatpants and socks,
you get overheated.
I'll overheat and then I'll have nightmares. And the only it's nightmare, or the heat will trigger like nightmares. And so, or my body temperature rising will trigger that. And they call them fever dreams or something. Like when you get a fever that you can sometimes hallucinate.
Yes.
So I would get these really high fevers as a kid. And that would be when I would hallucinate.
Holy heck. That is scary.
Yeah.
Well,
but not as an adult, surprisingly.
Well,
how about you?
God, I haven't, but I saw in Psychology Today that it is far more common than maybe I would have guessed. And I mean, maybe not you because you've hallucinated, but it said that about 85% of the volunteers in the study reported having experienced some form of anomalous visual experience in their life. Over a third of them said they had an actual visual hallucination, like similar to what a patient with a psychotic disorder might experience. And then about 17.4% of the volunteers had experienced a hallucination that met the criteria of like clinical definition of whatever. I don't know what you need to make it to that designation, but so 17% have had like clinical hallucinations. And then, like I said, almost 40% have had like kind of like the people that have schizoaffective, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Does that surprise you? Because that sounds high to me.
No, because I feel like, remember what you talked about this. You talked about an article about schizophrenia, how people in different cultures experience schizophrenia differently, and how it's more widely accepted if there is a cultural, like what's the word I'm looking for? Like there's where in the culture it's accepted to see visions to begin with. Then you're going to be more likely to see that. And so I think that our brain is very easily, we're just very suggestible. Like and I think that we've all experienced this on a very, very small scale. And the example I use is when you come home and before you turn the lights on and you go, oh, that must be a monster on my chair. Or like, that's a monster over there. And then you turn the lights on, you're like, oh no, it's a jacket on my chair. But if you were to just kind of like let your brain go and not invite that prefrontal cortex, not invite that executive functioning in, and just kind of like almost, it almost happens when maybe we're like very sleepy, when our brain is a little bit tired. There are times when we're more susceptible to hallucinations because the part of our brain that's the one that goes, nope, that's what this is what that is like not awake or is asleep or is really, really tired.
Yeah, I think it did say like, they're more common in the evening.
Yeah, like if long road truckers, people have been driving for a long time, and if you've been staring at the road, like you'll hallucinate because you've just been, you can stimulate hallucination in situations.
Yeah.
Like so I think that our brain, that people have had this experience, even if it's only once or twice, which is different than somebody who regularly hallucinates,
Yeah, right. I was thinking about how, when you take an edible or whatever, and then everything's so funny eventually. And also like things that you watching maybe on a movie or a show, like seem more interesting or whatever that is. And I was trying to figure out what that's about and how it was described as like, whatever it is in your brain that can sort of prioritize information is shut off. Yeah. So like everything seems like a big deal.
Yeah, they say it's a drug of novelty.
Yes. And that you don't know like what actually like, should be.
What is this water bottle? Have you ever seen this? Because it makes everything, feel like new and like, what even is this? Which then, we've always talked about having a curiosity. It's exactly what we talked about with being old and having meaning in your life. Like maintaining a curiosity for life, maintaining like, if we can connect to, that's kind of like our humanness too. Like what makes us human? Well, our ability to like look at something and think it could be a million different things and like, be curious,
I heard a wonderful interview on NPR with Carl Sagan's daughter, Sasha Sagan. And she was speaking to that point of how, the way that children see the world and how everything is like amazing and the biggest deal. And we're like, that if you can work to get a little bit of that back, it's so great because it does help you. It does enhance meaning in life.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
So like look up at the moon and take a sec. We are in a hurry, everybody, all the time. I think a lot of that is just like slowing down for a sec.
Yes.
And she's like, listen, like I like to be grateful. Like when I open my fridge, sometimes I'm struck by like, wow, there's all this food here and there's a fridge that keeps it cold. But she's like, we can't do that every time we open the fridge. We got shit to do. But like if you could just occasionally tap into that notion of like, it is kind of awesome and amazing that we have all this food in our fucking fridge. Anyway, it was great.
So true. I love it.
Yeah. So I'm going to do a
The
poll.
meaning of life, people.
Meaning of life. I'm going to do a poll and see if our listeners have hallucinated. But what they were saying too was that, like, you know, because it's associated with paranoid or, you know, mental illness. Paranoid behaviors and mental illness, that people are slow to admit when they have hallucinated because they don't want to be seen as cuckoo.
Cuckoo crazy.
Yeah. By the way,
they don't want their podcast host to be like, what? You have hallucinated?
You thought your arms were sticks? Well, so, okay, can we talk about just briefly?
I wonder why people would be scared of judgment. I can't imagine, Susie.
I'm like dying laughing at Sarah. Okay, but you know, that reminded me of like this movement now where we're not, like, people don't want us, progressives are frowning upon the language of using the word, that was crazy, or that's insane, or whatever. Yeah. There's more and more words that people are seeing as problematic. What do you think about that as someone in the mental health field?
You just use the word
calm
crazy.
Down. You're okay with crazy.
Calm down.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I wouldn't refer to somebody who was suffering from mental illness as crazy.
Well, it's like Michael Scott when he said the R word. And he's like, you don't call an R person. That's poor taste.
That's poor taste, right? I wouldn't call somebody who's actually crazy. That's in poor taste.
Well, right.
I would call them mentally ill. But I'd call my dog who's being crazy.
Right. I mean, I agree, but
obviously
some people are really buckling down on that stuff and are like, you shouldn't. I just, I'm not there yet. I could be convinced.
Right. I think it's situational. Like like I said, you wouldn't call somebody who's actually mentally ill crazy. That's important. I'm going to laugh about that one all week. This is going to be great. I love it.
All right. Well, we'll continue that conversation and we'll wind it down. I basically talked about death and destruction for an hour.
Or you could say life and meaning.
That's true. We did. Well, and trying to create not just a long lifespan, but a long health span, right? I mean, what good is it to live really long if you're miserable and unwell? I don't want that.
Right.
So there are things we can do. Make some friends.
Keep learning.
Keep walking. Keep
walking.
Yeah, and having wonder, which walking can help with that. You look around, everything's amazing.
Yeah, that checks all the boxes. Go on a walk with a friend.
Pretty much.
And talk about something emotional. That's it.
I mean, we just solved...
I know.
The meaning of
basically
life.
All the world's problems. Yeah, everything.
All right. Well, that's all for now. I love you all. Check out our website. Sign up for our newsletter there, thebraincandypodcast.com. And all of our bonus content is on patreon.com/braincandy. We'll see you next time, everybody.